Hello, everyone. I'm Laura. I want to share a significant part of my life that involved intense challenges with my in-laws and my husband, especially during our divorce. I hope my story resonates with those of you who have faced unfair criticism from your in-laws. Let me take you back to the beginning. I met Liam, my now estranged husband, on a dating app when I was a 21-year-old college student. Liam was 25, employed, and stable. Despite our age difference, we fell in love. I always believed that love isn't bound by age or looks, so Liam being older never bothered me. However, Liam was troubled by our age gap. He often asked, "Why are you with me, Laura? You could find someone your age who might be a better match." But I chose him because I loved him, and to me, age was just a number. Liam's insecurities ran deep. He would persist, "There must be other reasons, Laura. It's not usual for someone like you to love someone like me. I wish you'd just tell me the real reason." I reassured him repeatedly that my feelings were genuine. I wasn't interested in dating someone my age. I loved him, and that was what mattered to me. Despite my assurances, Liam's self-doubt lingered, hinting at deeper self-esteem issues that seemed to have kept him single before we met. To prove my genuine affection, I made sure not to let Liam spend excessively on me. While I was a college student managing my finances, I wasn't wealthy but made sure to buy him thoughtful gifts and handle my expenses. I always worked part-time jobs to ensure I wasn't financially dependent on him. Liam seemed to appreciate these efforts, but sadly, his insecurities didn't fade, and he continued to question the sincerity of my love, which deeply hurt me. It took 4 years before I fully understood the origins of Liam's issues. When I met Liam's parents, Jesse and Diane, I learned more about his background. Jesse, Liam's father, won the lottery, which changed their lives a lot. This helped me understand why Liam had certain perspectives and insecurities. After winning, Jesse and Diane bought a big house and invested their money wisely. However, their new wealth came with a sense of superiority. During our first meeting, Jesse often bragged, saying, "Not everyone makes it big like me. I was just a hard worker, and look where it got me. Do you realize how rare it is to win the lottery?" Yet I managed it on my first try. They were proud of their decision-making skills and often implied that Liam, despite his college education, would never reach their level of financial success. Diane suggested that Liam's previous partners were only after his money and left him once they were financially better off. They openly doubted Liam's ability to make good decisions, which infuriated me. It seemed like Liam's parents saw every woman he dated as a gold digger, and over time, Liam began to believe this narrative. This insinuation that I was just another gold digger became an embarrassing and hurtful part of their story. Fed up with their baseless assumptions, I stood up for both Liam and myself. "I'm sorry, but I have to disagree with you. Liam has worked hard to establish his career and will achieve even greater success in time." Jesse retorted, "Well, that doesn't change the fact that women only want him for money. The money we have is ours, but Liam does co-own the house. Eventually, it will be his. Every time these girls see our $500,000 house, I swear they just see dollar signs." I couldn't hold back. "I can't speak for Liam's past relationships, but I'm certainly not in this for the money. I love your son, and that's why we're together. I have no interest in your house." Diane then said, "Don't worry, Laura. Sometimes it's hard to accept that people can be successful and live in nice houses. You live in a small rented apartment with roommates. You might start desiring it after spending time around our house, too." Their comments pushed my patience to the limit, and I was on the verge of losing my temper. Liam heard everything but chose not to respond or defend himself. Instead, he steered the conversation in a different direction. His indifferent attitude on our way home took me by surprise after a particularly tense visit with his parents. I decided it was important to talk to Liam directly about the issue. "Liam, your parents are being unfair and hurtful to both of us. Why didn't you stand up for me?" Liam sighed, clearly frustrated. What did you expect me to say, Laura? My past isn't great. I've been used before by people who only cared about my parents' wealth, making plans for when they'd inherit the house. Even if they were wrong before, that doesn't mean they're wrong about everything. I felt a pang of hurt. Just because those women were after your money doesn't mean I am. It hurt that you stayed silent while your family insulted me. Liam looked conflicted. You know my family is wealthy now, and maybe they have a point. I'm not saying you have bad intentions, but I can see why it might look questionable to others. You have parents, and that might make you seem more reliant on my inheritance. His words were almost too much to bear. What you're suggesting is absurd, Liam. I've never pressured you to spend on me. Not having an inheritance does not make me a gold digger. Liam remained stubborn, unwilling to see my perspective. I love you, and that's what matters. Let's not argue about this anymore, he said, dismissing the need for further discussion. While some might have taken comfort in his declaration of love, I couldn't shake the feeling that he still had doubts about my intentions. I tried repeatedly to discuss it, even suggesting therapy to help him see things more clearly, but he refused, insisting there was nothing wrong. As time went on, I began distancing myself from his family. We got engaged right after I graduated from college, and I landed a decent job, which allowed me to start saving for our wedding. We shared the wedding expenses equally and married when I was 25. However, the next 5 years of our marriage were rocky. Liam frequently visited his parents, each time returning more distant and upset. I knew Jesse and Diane continued to poison his mind, still branding me as a gold digger. Despite my pleas for him to reduce contact with them, Liam continued to see his parents often. Their negative influence began to deeply affect his view of our relationship, convincing him that no one could truly love him for who he was. Even after years of my unwavering love, Liam's suspicion towards me never seemed to ease, and the weight of constantly having to prove my sincerity grew increasingly exhausting. However, the moment that truly tested us came on Liam's birthday. Preferring a low-key celebration, we decided to have a small cake party at our home. I was excited to make his day special. I surprised Liam with the expensive watch he had admired for a long time. He was thrilled with the gift, but my heart sank when he suggested we show it off to his parents. Despite my hesitation, I went along with him. When we arrived, Liam couldn't wait to show his new watch to his parents. Mom, Dad, look at this beautiful watch Laura got me. I've wanted it for so long. Isn't it stunning? His enthusiasm was clear. Diane responded with a slight surprise. Oh, Liam, it seems she does love you after all. We were quite worried for some time. But Jesse quickly added, don't be fooled, Diane. She's a gold digger. She married our son because we have a $500,000 house. Let's not ignore the facts. I couldn't contain my frustration. Excuse me, why do you think I married your son for your house? I've been working and living in an apartment for years. Besides, if age was a concern, why would I marry someone older unless I truly loved him? I assure you, I didn't marry Liam for his money or your house. I married him because I love him. Surely Liam can confirm that, right? To my astonishment, Liam remained silent. His reluctance to defend me in front of his accusing parents was deeply unsettling. I felt increasingly isolated as he avoided making eye contact, sinking under their harsh assumptions. Pushed to my limit, I confronted him. Liam, why aren't you saying anything? Your parents have always labeled me a gold digger. How will they ever see the real me if you don't speak up? Why are you so quiet? Tell them they're wrong. Liam's hesitation was palpable. He muttered, I don't know what you want me to say, Laura. Maybe my parents aren't completely wrong. There might be a possibility that his words trailed off, but the implication was clear. This doubt, this inability to stand by me, was more than just a simple misunderstanding. It was a fundamental crack in the foundation of our relationship, casting a shadow over our love and my place in his life. Liam's birthday celebration quickly turned sour. I was astounded by the accusations flying my way. Are you serious right now, Lamb? You believe I married you for your assets. His parents chimed in, their suspicion clear. Oddly, you've never thought about buying a house, have you? For someone renting, owning a home should be a top priority. You haven't even talked about it with him. Our place is out of your price range. You could never afford something like this on your own, so marrying Liam and settling here seems more logical. Liam looked at me with a mix of doubt and confusion. Yeah, Laura, why would you marry me? You might have feelings for me, but I think there's more to it than just love. I was left speechless by their words. All the love and affection I had felt for Liam seemed to disappear instantly. Both my in-laws and my husband saw me as nothing more than a gold digger. While the skepticism from his parents was hurtful, Liam's agreement cut the deepest. At that moment, I decided to end our marriage. I didn't reveal my decision right away. Instead, I waited for the right moment. Once Liam and I were back home, I contacted a lawyer and began the divorce process. The lawyer assured me that everything would be ready within a week. Meanwhile, I moved into a separate room to give myself some space. Liam thought I was just cooling off and had no idea of my intentions. When the divorce papers were ready, I gathered my belongings and left. Liam, clearly distressed, called me in a panic. I told him to meet me at a specific address and to bring his parents. Despite his confusion, he complied. As they arrived, I stood waiting on the porch of a stunning house. Their expressions shifted to surprise as they took in the scene. You must be wondering why I brought you here, I said, gesturing to the luxurious surroundings. It's a beautiful house, isn't it? No one can compare their home to this one. It's worth around $5 million in today's market. Quite expensive, right? The dramatic setting was my way of showing them that their accusations and suspicions were unfounded. I was not the person they thought I was, and I needed to make that clear in the most unforgettable way. But it's worth every penny, I said, gesturing toward the lavish interior of the house, which also boasted furniture worth millions. What is this place, Laura? I don't understand why you have access to such a house, Liam asked, puzzled. Why don't you all come in so we can talk properly? I can't explain everything standing here on the porch, I suggested, brushing off their astonishment as I led them inside. They followed, their eyes widening in awe at the opulent decor. As we settled into the plush sofas, I took a deep breath, ready to address the elephant in the room. I've made a decision, and that's why we're here. I filed for divorce, I stated, handing over the papers. We can proceed with an uncontested divorce if you agree. What? I don't understand. Why are you filing for divorce? Liam's voice was a mix of confusion and concern. It's simple, I replied. I said, my voice steady despite the storm of emotions inside me. You and your parents think I'm a gold digger. You believe I married you for your house and money. Despite everything I've said, you've refused to listen. So it's better for everyone if I leave, sparing you from what you deem my gold-digging tendencies. You're considering divorce just because my parents spoke what they believed to be the truth. That's ridiculous, Liam retorted, disbelief coloring his tone. I think it's for the best, I replied, firm in my resolve. His mother, watching the exchange with an unreadable expression, chimed in. If she's so adamant, you should just sign the papers, Liam. Then at least you can find someone who truly loves you. Why did you bring us to this house, Laura? Do you expect me to buy this for you as part of our divorce settlement? Liam asked, suspicion in his voice. Why would I need you to buy this house, Liam? This house is already mine, I answered calmly, watching their shock and disbelief unfold. They looked at me as if I were joking. How on earth can you afford a house like this? Your renting and your job isn't enough to cover something like this. Stop lying to us, Liam's father demanded, his tone sharp with suspicion. Their disbelief was palpable, but I was ready to prove my independence and financial capability once and for all. I'm not lying, I asserted firmly. Liam, remember when I mentioned that my parents left me some inheritance? Well, this house is part of it. It's under a trust for now, but I will officially inherit it when I turn 32. I don't need to work a high-paying job because I have a trust fund waiting for me. That's impossible, Liam interjected. Your parents passed away a long time ago. They should have given you the house earlier. My parents were aware of the potential leeches I might attract, I explained. So they instructed me never to disclose the house or the trust fund to anyone. They wanted to keep everything safe until I turned 32. By then, they hoped I would be settled with someone who genuinely cared about me, not my inheritance. Oh my God, Laura, you should have told us about your wealth. We had no idea. This is a sizable house you have. We could all live very comfortably here, Liam's mother exclaimed. Yeah, you should have shared that sooner. We thought you were after our house. We could have avoided all the misunderstandings, Liam added, looking relieved yet somewhat embarrassed. I always knew Laura was perfect for Liam. I've been saying she's a great woman. Look how wealthy she is. Liam found a great match, his father chimed in, his tone shifting dramatically. Hearing this, I couldn't help but laugh. Their attitude toward me had changed so quickly it made my head spin. What was even more bizarre was that they seemed to forget about the divorce papers I had brought. Pulling out the papers, I signed them. As I was saying, here's my signature for an uncontested divorce. You can just sign these to make it easy. If you want to fight, we can take this to court, but I won't live with you anymore. Wait, Laura, listen to me. There's no need to rush this, Liam pleaded. You've already proven you're not a gold digger. There's no reason to get a divorce anymore. We even apologize for any misunderstanding. That should make things better, right? Yes, Jesse is right. We're sorry, Laura. We doubted you for no reason, his mother added, her voice filled with regret. Despite their apologies and sudden change of heart, the memory of their judgments and accusations lingered in my mind. I couldn't stay in a relationship where trust had to be proven rather than given. I don't want your insincere apologies, I said firmly, my resolve unwavering. For 4 years, you allowed your family to berate me and call me a gold digger. I expected you to defend me, but instead, you sided with them and even accused me of the same. I can't stay with someone who doesn't respect his wife. I'm done, Liam. We can part ways amicably or involve the courts. The choice is yours. Diane and Jesse tried desperately to change my mind, pleading with me to overlook the past. To them, what had happened was just a minor misunderstanding. However, their lack of genuine remorse for tarnishing my reputation only fueled my anger. When I reached my breaking point, I demanded that they leave before I called the police. My firm stance intimidated them, and they left without further argument. Over the next few weeks, Liam and his parents continued to harass me. They begged, pleaded, and even offered bribes to persuade me to stay. Their belief that money could sway my decision only intensified my fury. It was a stark reminder that they still saw me as someone motivated by financial gain. Ironically, since Liam co-owned the house with his parents, I was entitled to half of his share, which only fueled their desperation for reconciliation despite their relentless attempts. I stayed firm in my decision to leave. I moved all my belongings to my parents' house, asserting my right to stay there even before officially taking ownership. Liam and his parents kept trying to reach out, so I changed my phone number to avoid their constant calls from unknown numbers. Liam even tried to discuss matters at my workplace, but I had informed security beforehand, and they asked him to leave. Liam still hadn't signed the divorce papers, holding out hope that I would change my mind. Nearly a year has passed, and the situation remains unresolved, showing how complex and emotional our lives had become. With less than a year left until the divorce is finalized, I've managed quite well on my own. Living independently, I found both happiness and financial stability. While I've gone on a few dates, I'm not considering anything serious at the moment. According to a cousin of Liam, his family is now worried about having to pay me my rightful share of the house. The legal fees are mounting, and their savings are proving to be insufficient. Liam is even advocating for selling the house, harboring resentment toward his parents for the chaos they've caused in his life. At this point, I simply don't care about their problems. My only goal is to be free from that toxic family and move on with my life, leaving the chaos and negativity behind. My parents welcomed me back with open arms, providing the support and comfort I needed during this difficult time. They were surprised by the turn of events but understood my decision. Moving back home allowed me to reconnect with old friends and focus on rebuilding my life. I found a new job that I enjoy, and my colleagues have become a second family to me. Liam and his parents didn't give up easily. They continued to send letters and emails, pleading for reconciliation. I ignored their attempts, knowing that engaging with them would only prolong the emotional turmoil. It was clear to me that they were more concerned about their financial situation than genuinely apologizing for their behavior. During this time, I focused on self-improvement and personal growth. I enrolled in a few online courses to enhance my skills and took up new hobbies to keep myself busy. I also started therapy to help process my emotions and ensure I was making the best decisions for my future. My therapist helped me see that walking away from a toxic relationship was the right choice, and I began to feel more confident in my decision. As the divorce process dragged on, I made sure to document everything. I kept detailed records of all communications and interactions with Liam and his family. This meticulous approach proved helpful as my lawyer navigated the legal complexities of the case. It also gave me a sense of control over a situation that had felt so overwhelming. Despite their relentless attempts to win me back, I stood my ground. I knew that returning to Liam would mean subjecting myself to more years of distrust and manipulation. I deserved better than that, and I was determined to create a life free from their influence. Liam's cousin kept me updated on their financial struggles. The mounting legal fees and the prospect of losing the house were taking a toll on them. I felt a sense of vindication knowing that they were facing the consequences of their actions. However, I also knew that my happiness didn't depend on their suffering. I was focused on my own journey and the positive changes I was making in my life. Eventually, Liam agreed to sign the divorce papers. The relief I felt was immense. It marked the end of a painful chapter and the beginning of a new one. With the legal process finally moving forward, I could see a clear path to freedom and peace. In the end, I emerged stronger and more resilient. The experience taught me valuable lessons about self-worth and the importance of standing up for myself. I learned that it's better to be alone than in a relationship where I'm not valued or respected. Moving forward, I promised myself to never settle for anything less than I deserved. Leaving Liam and his family was the best decision I ever made. It allowed me to reclaim my life and build a future on my own terms. I was no longer defined by their opinions or accusations. I was free to be myself and pursue my dreams without the weight of their judgment. Looking back, I have no regrets. The journey was tough, but it shaped me into a stronger person. I found happiness and fulfillment on my own, proving to myself that I didn't need anyone else's approval to live a meaningful life.